less than 1 minute, my friends. Just as a reminder, this channel is for educational or perhaps entertainment purposes only, whichever the law would prefer. It's great to see y'all out there. I hope you're doing well. Welcome. Okay, so hey, True Detective, Candidly, 3D, Infinity, Jackie. Hey, Penny, Priest, our resident priest, hello. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope you're all doing well out there. And, yeah, sorry, I got the wrong window up there. So you heard a little bit of something else. Okay, and I want to say hello to White Fox and Mao and everybody else out there. It's great to see you. Hey, Terry, Knack. Okay, so let's get rolling into this stream. It might be a little bit of a long one, so hang in there with me. I'm not sure how I'm going to cover. Sorry, my voice is a little off, but I'm going to cover at least one segment. Hey, everybody. Excuse the mess in the background. We're kind of reorganizing again. So yeah, it's I wanted to go into cults, right? I spent many years digging into cults and just human psychology and all that stuff, and just seeing how the human body interacts with nature and manipulation and all that stuff, just like many of you have. And cults are just fascinating, especially hearing about people who leave cults, and it's always heartbreaking, always. And there are varying degrees. Some people are born in, some are, they join maybe at a young age because their parents are in it, or maybe they go through, a change in religion or spiritual beliefs and obviously end up vulnerable. Sometimes, we are vulnerable, right? I mean, I know I was spiritually vulnerable for many years in just trying to see where I, fit in. And it's difficult. And the other thing that really kind of makes things difficult with different spiritual beliefs, religions, and unfortunately high pressure cults is that, oftentimes they're going to be putting out they're going to put out like a love bomb. They're going to put out information that can help you early on. You're going to see those changes. You're going to experience those changes. You are going to have probably spiritual experiences, and that's how they get you. That's how they suck people in. And then from there, depending on if you can discern or not, you may fall victim to a high pressure cult and, give them your money, live on their compounds or in their, their churches or their anywhere. Right. And so it's really sad. So I really felt like going into cults and I'm going to make this a series, right? This is the first episode of it on cults. And so I think it's a really important aspect of all this because it shows just how manipulated we can become. And that's not even including what we grow up with, right? Like all the systems of indoctrination that, is just par for the course that everyone has to go through and eventually, again, unindoctrinate themselves, just like anyone who's leaving a cult. I mean, I think every single one of us have gone through that just with, government and various different types of religion, spiritual beliefs, and so many other things, right? I mean, it's way too many to list. And so, yeah, anyways, with cults, like some of them can be very, very heartbreaking, difficult. I think they're all heartbreaking. They really are. It's just a matter of how intense they are, right? But that doesn't take away the intensity that anyone experiences inside a cult. So today we're going to be going over Ryan Hernandez's experience. I believe he was in for about 10 years. They got him at a young age, and a lot of appalling stuff happened. But it's interesting to hear him talk about how, a little red flag would pop up. That's what you see in the thumbnail there, the red flag. He's caged, and he's slowly trying to get himself out and make sense of things. So, yeah, it's really, really, it's difficult. And he basically admits that he became an automaton, completely just, whatever they said, whatever they told him to do, he did it. And it's so screwed up. Like, the members received lashes. They sent in isolation for a long time. This particular man, Ryan, was lied to by the clergy. Ryan wanted to go to his I believe it was his grandfather's funeral, and he told the clergy, and they're like, okay, all right, well, we'll reach out to your family and we'll let you know. They pretended to call the family, and they come back and say, oh no, you're too much of a burden on your family right now. They can't afford it. Well, you'll find out what happens with that. And there's a whole host of things that unfold. So let's get right into it. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you and really hope you're doing well. Hey, Emil, good to see you. D, great to see you. Neo, candidly. And Mary, hello. And anyone else out there. Okay, so let me just get this one box up. Bear with me one sec here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we should be good. Oop, wrong window. There we go.
Is toxic. You're expected not to speak up. You're expected to stay in line and you're expected to support them for the rest of your life. And if you feel that you have a potential life outside, all of that gets crushed. All of that gets destroyed by the leadership who are constantly humiliating you, who are constantly punishing you, and who are constantly making you fear a life outside. Now, I wanted to share how it is that I, a member fully involved, how it is that I was able to break bad and leave the cult that I was in. And I wanted to share my story. So before we proceed, I wanted to give a strong spoiler alert. So I'm not that good tech-wise, but just imagine real quick that the words spoiler alert are flashing on the screen. But I'm not that good tech-wise. I'm still learning. Oh, well. So spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite shows, and that is Breaking Bad. Because the character, his name is Walter White. He starts off, when you meet him in the beginning, he is a total pushover. He's weak. He is a chemist teacher at high school, and he's barely making it through. He's barely able to provide for his family. And then he has a second job, and he goes to the car wash to, scrub and to clean, and he's doing all of this work. And it reminded me so much of life in the religious life or the cult, because you really put all of your energy, you put all of your time, and every day there's humiliations, or there's punishments, injustices, and you can't say anything with it. You have to go with the flow. You have to just go to work. You have to do your job and stay in line and stay quiet. But the thing about Breaking Bad, the show, is that something happens where he opens his eyes and he realizes that he doesn't have that much time left on this earth. And that's because, spoiler, he has cancer. And so he finds a way to use his brains, and he starts making drugs, and he starts making money that way. So that's where, of course, our stories go in a different direction. But the point is, when you're in a cult, you're expected to stay in line, to stay in that one spot, obedient, just laboring for the leadership, making them look good all the time. And when people ask you,
Obedient. Make them look good all the time. Obedient. You slowly become a shell of yourself.
just laboring for the leadership, making them look good all the time. And when people ask you, how are you doing? You're expected to say, I'm great. I'm doing so good, when it might be a complete lie. So in the show Breaking Bad, I think that his aha moment was when he found out that he was very sick. That's when he kind of woke up and started making big decisions in his life, and each decision had an effect. So it's really, cause and effect, and it just has that dominoes of things happening. And going back to my story and to the story of so many other people who have left cults, the members who are still there, we were trained to look at ex-members as the most vile creatures on the planet. And I wanted to share with you now what it is that got me to say, I need to get the hell out of here. So in the group that I was in, we were expected to take what is called a pledge of chastity, poverty, and obedience. And that was supposed to be 3 years. It's called a temporary profession. But because the group that I was in was culty, let's replace the word pledge with vow. And let's replace 3 years. Let's replace that with till death do we part. So I remember, just to give more context to those of you who haven't been following my podcast, I before 2012, I had been in isolation for a year. And then it became a year and a half because I got in an argument with one of the sisters, and I just had enough. I was fed up, and I was starting to think, I don't think God wants me here. I didn't sign up for this crap, and I was getting pissed off.
Good.
But at the same time,
But remember, a year and a half, guys, a year to year and a half in isolation. That's what they do. If they can isolate you, keep you away from society, keep you away from your family, and get you to just stay completely indoctrinated and under their thumb, the chances of them keeping you long term is much higher.
I don't think God wants me here. I didn't sign up for this crap, and I was getting pissed off.
You tell them.
But at the same time, I'm just so programmed and trained to obey, because when you take these vows, what's most important to them is obedience to the letter to these cult-like superiors. So I remember during the year 2012, the Bishop of Wilmington decided to kick us out, and with good reason. And I was so happy because I saw it coming. And so we're getting kicked out of the diocese. And I remember it was the end of my 3 years of my temporary profession.
Test 1, 2,
And I went to my superiors and I told them, look, everyone, I've had a good run. I'm ready to hang up my gloves. I'm ready to move on. My
1, 2,
3 years
1, 2.
is about to expire in
Test
about
1,
2
2,
months.
test
But hey,
1,
we're
2.
getting kicked
Hello.
out.
Test
And
1,
I
2,
want to
test.
make an exit. I want
All
to start
right,
working
so-
on my exit.
So you can
But
see
what they
what's
told
going
me
on here.
was,
Test 1, 2.
your vows have not expired. You're still under obedience. So here are your tickets. Take your tickets
Test 1,
and
2.
go to the Philippines. So I complained. I was starting to speak up, and I was like, look, I don't want to be here anymore. But there was no response. The only response is like, hey, look, you're still under obedience. Here's your ticket. You got to go. Because if you don't do it, then you're living a sinful life. So it's like, damn, all right, well, I go to the Philippines. And that's where shit hits the fan. But before shit hit the fan in the Philippines, actually, when I went there, I was under a superior who was okay. He was an okay guy, and I felt like I had been rescued from a crap superior in Dover, Delaware, when I was there. Because I mean, come on, putting a member in isolation in solitary confinement and lying about it, and then lying to my family, and then lying to me, that's a shit superior. So I go to
I like that. A shit superior. This all right, guys? That's a shit superior.
that's a shit superior. So I go to the Philippines, and I'm under this new superior, and he's actually pretty cool. So I'm okay, but of course I still want to leave. But they always tell you, oh, amigo, you need to pray more. You need to do more fasting, and you need to do more prayer and penance. And so it's like, all right, well,
Starve them. Starve
at
them
least
out.
I'm not in such a hellish.
That is cult 101. Fasting, starving. I mean, look, fasting is good for you. I'm not a medical doctor. This isn't medical advice or anything like that. But fasting can be helpful, but not to the extent that you hear, what he goes through. And I think his diet consisted literally of bread and water. Literally, I don't know about any of you growing up, you'd hear, oh, you go to prison, all you're going to eat is bread and water. All you're going to have is bread and water. But this is a cult. And a lot of the cults, they, if you can get a individual starving, malnutrition, not giving them what they need, then they're even more controllable most of the time.
Environment, and I was really enjoying it. And then I I get a call from my brother. And the cool thing actually is that when I'm with this superior, I have no problem contacting my family. I'm not getting beaten up. I'm not getting humiliated. I'm not being monitored. It was open. I was able to speak with my family. And my brother had told me that he spoke with Father Bing. And I asked him, why did you talk to Father Bing? And he said, because last time we spoke with Father Jose, and Father Jose lied to us and said that you didn't want to go to the funeral of my grandmother, which is, I explained that in my last episode about being forbidden to grieve. So anyways, my brother said,
So sick, being forbidden to grieve. And I have that queued up after we go through this. As long as, I've got enough energy, we will definitely go through it because it's screwed up.
instead of going to Father Jose or to any other superior, we just decided to go to the man in charge, who is Father Bing, to avoid confusion and to just go to the top. And so I asked him, okay, so what did y'all talk about? And he explained to me, look, I'm going to get married in Los Angeles, and the family, we want you to be there. And so I spoke to Father Bing, and I said, hey, look, Father Bing, I know my brother is in the community, and I would really want him to go to my wedding. But I know that in this religious life, things can be a bit strict. So Father Bing told me, this is what my brother is saying. Father Bing told me, sure, no problem. Only thing is that he needs to come with one other person. And so my family agreed. They would pay a round trip ticket for me and another brother to go to Los Angeles and attend the wedding. So I go and talk to my superior in Cebu, where I was stationed, and I let him know, hey, look, my brother went to the top. He went to Father Bing, and this is the plan, that I'm going to go with.
Why does he have to have a cool name like Father Bing? That's a pretty cool name, right? He's still a jerk, but, Father Bing's a pretty, bada bing, bada boop.
My brother went to the top. He went to Father Bing, and this is the plan, that I'm going to go with another brother, and my family is going to pay for the round trip tickets. And so what happened there is that my superior said, well, if that's from Father Bing, then all right, let's get it done. So I get a ticket round trip, and I go to Los Angeles, and I'm so happy because it's like, okay, I have a clear conscience. I'm not doing anything against obedience. I'm doing everything with permission. And then another little detail is that we did have a cell phone, me and the brother whom I was with. And I was in contact with another superior within the U.S. region, and I'm getting somewhere here. This superior, who was in another community, was saying, bro, I would really like it if you can stay here in the U.S. and help me on the mission for a little bit. And I said, I don't have any say. I just do what I'm told. I mean, because I'm programmed to just obey like a robot. And so he went to ask his best friend from the Sith sisters. I'm not going to mention her name. And this superior, then sent me a screenshot of their communication. And so he asked this person, this sister, this lady, hey, look, Ryan is here in the U.S. To go to his brother's wedding. He has permission from Father Bing, and I would like to request if he can just stay here in the U.S. for a little bit and help me in the missions. And what the text back were so, it pissed me off so much. More than just pissed me off, it really broke me, because it was saying he's lying. Father Bing never gave him permission. In our community, we're supposed to have detachment. His obedience is to leave right now. And
You're supposed to have detachment. So playing the opposite end, calling him a liar, and you're supposed to have detachment. Yeah, detachment. Yeah, from everything that you once knew, and devote your entire life to the cult.
go back to the U.S., to go back to the Philippines. He has no right being there with his family. And I'm reading the screenshots of their communication, and my mind is just completely lost, and I felt completely broken.
Poor guy.
Because I know that my brother is not gonna lie. I know that Father Bing, many times he says one thing and then he changes it the next second. And I know that sometimes the Sith sisters will say, Father Bing said this, and they're full of crap, because I know that they lie. They lie so much. And so my life was just, I felt like I was in the movie Vanilla Sky. I didn't know what was my reality. I didn't know what was happening.
This poor guy.
And then it said there that I'm lying, that I'm being deceitful. And so I was like, what are they talking about? And so me being so trained to be like a robot.
See? Me being so trained like a robot.
And so I was like, what are they talking about? And so me being so trained to be like a robot, I told my family, hey, can he pay my ticket to go back? And they're like, the wedding is in 2 days. We can't buy you a ticket. What are you talking about? And so I suffered silently, because at that moment I was thinking, I'm breaking the rules. I'm violating. I'm being a deceiver. I'm being evil. And so I was just so shaken up.
Oh, God.
And even at my...
So we have the fear, guilt, shame complex rearing its ugly head.
My brother's wedding, when people wanted to talk to me, I was very like... I was a prick. To some people, I'm like, get the hell away. Please get away from me. I don't want to talk to you. Because I was just so confused as to what was going on, because I knew that Father Bing and that sister from the Sith were lying, that they were manipulating the truth. And I felt that Father Bing had set me up by saying, oh yeah, Ryan can go to the wedding, no problem, it's all fine, just make sure your family pays for a round trip for you and another brother. And we did that. And then to come and say that I'm being attached to my family, well, you know what? Let's talk real talk. Father Bing, he gets to see his family all the freaking time. The Sith sisters, those who are rich, you go to nice weddings, you go to visit your families. And I'm not mad at the members, but I'm pissed off at the leaders, because you only care about those who have money. You can give a crap about those family members who have given up their child to serve the Lord, and yet they're not allowed to see their families. But the rich ones are allowed, and so they told me, oh, you can't see your family. You have to be detached. And in the text, it says, none of us give that, none of us have that, like special, permission or privilege. And I'm thinking, well, what the hell, man? Like, I've obeyed everything. I've done to the letter what I've been told. And yet here I am being told that I'm being disobedient. And so that was...
Okay, so let me just kind of give you a little context. He might bring it up in this video or the next one, I'm not sure. But okay, so it's just like any of these other big cults. The ones who have the money, the members who have the money, get, more or less normal, quote unquote, privileges. They're still sucked in. They're still, under the spell of the cult, but they're given a lot more leeway than someone who doesn't or isn't providing to the cult, like the rich ones or the wealthy ones, whatever. So anyways, Ryan here, he was basically he was giving the cult $100 a month, and it was coming from his family. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Like, so that's why. I mean, he's there to be a slave for the cult, and he's only bringing in $100 a month. So they're not gonna bend over backwards to do anything for him. So just to give you a little context.
I'm being told that I'm being disobedient. And so that was almost like an aha moment. But I just stayed quiet. I was really pissed off. I tried to enjoy the wedding, but I was just shaken up because I felt that I didn't belong there. I wanted to leave, but I couldn't. I felt like I was just chained to these people, kind of like,
Chained.
I don't know, but I felt that if I'm going to leave, I wanted to do things the right way. But then I see that they're full of crap. They lie to the bishops, they lie to the families, they lie about the finances, they lie about their enthronements, because they would say, "Oh, we're doing this and we're going to show the Vatican, blah blah blah." I don't believe it anymore because I know how much they lie. They use the contacts to send out letters asking for money. Look at us, we need money. But it was just so confusing for me because I would see them as like holy people in the missions, but yet with their own members, they treated us so poorly.
Okay, so this is classic Matrix stuff, right? I see them as holy people. There is a belief, there is a faith that he has in the power structure of the cult. And it's no different than the afterlife. It's no different than buying into whatever deity, God, whatever you want to call it, saint, etc., etc. Any of those things. It's blind belief, blind faith, and blind compliance. And this is how the fabric of the system works so well. This is why they are so good at keeping this whole operation under lock and key. If you can convince 98% of the realm to believe that they need to worship someone out there, and then you can throw in all these other things too. You can have someone who leaves religion and they may believe in they may even figure out, hey, like, I'm a creator being, right? They a lot of the new age crowd falls under that, right? But you may fall into that, but then you can have things like, oh, you can lose family, you can lose friends, you can lose pets, and then on your deathbed, they come and visit you, in your final moments or final months, weeks, days, whatever, and tell you that, hey, I'm here to, your time is almost near, but I'm going to be here when that time comes to help you transition. And talk about like next level, otherworldly, sickening deception. You're gonna tug at the heartstring. So if for some reason you don't fall into all those boxes, all the different religions, the gods, the deities, they always have that as a backup plan. This is how deep this stuff goes. And it's just so simple, so easy. And I think the majority of the time they are sending our relatives, our friends, our family, our, the pets maybe, who knows, right? They're rolling out well, not who knows. We know that it happens. That's why there are deathbed premonitions, visions, and visitations, right? It is a literal primer when someone is on their way out to make sure that they are compliant and go to the next step without asking any questions. and just believing that who and what they are interacting with is in fact who they claim to be. And because it's a loved one, it makes the system run like a well-oiled machine. So you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And it's couldn't be more obvious how it all works. And some say, oh, like, they're, the whole system's, stupid and lame, and they don't know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. It is a fine tuned oiled machine, and it runs exactly the way it's supposed to run. All this insanity that we see right now going on, and that has been going on for a number of years, that's all on purpose. All this infighting, all this craziness that's out there. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that may unfold in the future and all that stuff. And, certain systems may, whatever. Anyways, it's just, this is how it works. And the same control that we're seeing in his story is exactly how it plays out for billions and billions of others.
And I was just so, I felt so like a mind bend, because I had given up so much for them. I had given up my life. I had given up my dreams, my ambitions. I had given up potential relationships to follow them. And yet they didn't take care of me. They lied to me. They deceived me. They took my family's money, saying that they would give it to help me and the community and to help my education, but Lord knows where that money would go.
Yeah, right.
And so I finished my trip in Los Angeles, and I went back to the Philippines. And right when I arrived, I was told by my superior, like, hey, look, I'm sorry, but I've been called by other superiors, and they're saying that you've been deceitful, that you've been lying, and they're the ones who have made the decision that you're going to be in isolation for 1 week. You're going to be in prayer and penance, and you're going to be fasting on bread and water, or on rice and water, whatever it was.
Can you imagine this type of gaslighting he gets back, and this is what he's got to deal with? Knowing what he knows, unbelievable.
And I was just so lost.
Oh, poor
It's
guy.
like, why am I getting punished? I've been a good guy this whole time. I've been following the rules. I've been doing everything that I've been told to do, and I don't even want to be here. I want to maybe get married. I want to follow some kind of a lifestyle outside, but I was just so lost. And then the priest who was my superior there in Cebu was transferred. And now we got a new superior, and that's where things went chaotic.
Makes you wonder, like, what happened to the individual who got transferred? What did he do? Most of the time, and, not going to say, who knows what it is, but a lot of times with these transfers, it's usually because of something really awful that's happened to, someone who attends the church or something. Who knows? But it's also interesting timing too, right? Because of, if they're trying to keep him, of course, this is all opinion, who knows, and just throwing it out there. Of course, if they want to keep him, then, and they're, sending the liar somewhere else, then, well, even if they send the liar away to the deceiver or whatever for even a few years, and maybe they come back or they go to another parish, whatever. They're hoping that it preserves Ryan's stay within the cult. Maybe. Just saying that's a possibility. I don't know.
Things went chaotic. So at this point, my mental health is just going all over the place. and I'm trying to keep it together because you're expected to, or else I'm gonna be in isolation again. Nah, screw that. I don't want that. Or to be on fasting for some BS. And at this point, to put like more rocks on this mountain of crap, I kept getting these false accusations. Oh, Ryan here is flirting with girls, or oh, he's being gluttonous, or all this BS. And I'm like, it's not freaking true. And then I'm always getting in trouble. It's like, oh, amigo, you can't join these activities because you were flirting. I'm like, I wasn't flirting with anyone. Even now it's so hard to talk about because I tried my best when it came to chastity, poverty, and obedience. And they suffocated me, even though I didn't want to be there, even though I asked to leave. And they made me feel that this is God's will. You have no right to question what God wants.
You hear that?
And if I were to ask, or if I were to say, well, I don't think this is God's will, then the answer would be, well, who are you to say what God's will is? We're the ones who tell you. And I would be like, well, I'm trying to...
Who are you? Who are you to question God's will? See, like, this is it. Like, the crux of it. It's like, if you have the base concept, the base belief, the base faith of whatever, who are you, of whatever deity, who are you to defy God? Who are you to question God? He's looking out for you. It's looking out for you. And here you are questioning it. And so it's like Ryan's like teetering back and forth, like, and like the spiritual, the religious beliefs are just like pulling him in and pulling him in and pulling him in. It's so freaking sad. And just, I often wonder about these types of cults, right? And it also is just like goes to the whole Matrix thing in general, guys, right? And all the control systems. If they weren't such a pain in the ass, if they weren't so obvious, if they weren't so, pushing the boot on everyone's freaking head, if they just laid off the gas a little bit, this place would be much harder to detect. Seriously. If they would not have to make a lot of adjustments to make it like a higher percentage yield of reincarnation. That's just my opinion. And of course, maybe it depends on the epoch and, where you're born and your life script and all that. Of course, all that stuff plays a factor too, right? But they could really, if they wanted to, make it a lot less obvious for individuals like us. They could. But at the same time, it's probably like a risk versus reward. And then you throw the whole luge thing in there. And, well, it really tends to, it's like they're probably getting more out of pushing the needle than not. That's my guess.
Even though I asked to leave, and they made me feel that this is God's will. You have no right to question what God wants. And if I were to ask, or if I were to say, well, I don't think this is God's will, then the answer would be, well, who are you to say what God's will is? We're the ones who tell you. And I would be like, well, I'm trying to discern. No, you've already discerned. This is where God wants you. So you need to shut up and obey.
Oh, poor Ryan.
Oh, damn. So I get this new superior, and I'm getting all of these false accusations left and right. Oh, Brother Ryan is flirting, or Brother Ryan is being lazy, or he's taking money, all this BS. And to give a detail, my family would send money every 3 months. And with that money, every month or every 3 months, I would be allowed to pick up the money at Western Union. From there, I would go to the immigration office in downtown Cebu, and I would pay for my visa renewal. But because that takes all day, I would use some of that money, very little, like freaking $2 or $1, to buy me a cup of coffee, no sugar, no
here
cream,
we
just
go.
just coffee, plain coffee,
Wait to
and
hear
I would
this.
buy, let's say, an apple pie. Apple pie, just because I mean I needed something to eat, and because we have our fasting on bread and water. I mean, like, man,
No, no, Ryan, no apple pie allowed. How dare you? How dare you eat an apple pie and have a coffee? Violation.
on bread
I mean, it's just so sick. It's so sick. Poor Ryan.
and water. I mean, like, man, this is the closest I can get. I'm not going to eat a hamburger. Just that, just like $2, maybe less. I don't know. Prices are a lot different in the Philippines. And so I was trying to live my life of poverty, chastity, and obedience as best as I could. And then one day, one of the brothers, another from another community, from my same cult, sees me at McDonald's, and I see him, and he's eating a hamburger, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And I made nothing of it. And I'm drinking my coffee, and oh well, I say goodbye, and I go on my way and go to the immigration and take care of the my visa, and then I come home, and then I surrender the rest of the money because you're not allowed to have any money. And so that's my routine. I get the money, I go have breakfast or lunch, go downtown, pay my visa, come back, and give the rest of the money, which would be like, I don't know, $100 or something, and surrender it to the superior.
Just unbelievable, right? I bet Ryan was looking forward to that money every month just so he can have a coffee and an apple pie. Meanwhile, the 29 rest of the days of the month, he's living off probably bread and water, rice and water. It's just so freaking nuts, man.
So one day we are on an outing, and we are with some supporters of my group, and we are at the beach, and I'm just so lost. I feel out of it. I don't feel part of the community. And I remember one of the supporters, was like, "Hey, come and join us." And I'm trying to be so polite, but I'm scared because I've already been falsely accused of so much BS. And I'm afraid if they see me just sitting down, that I'm going to get in trouble somehow. And she's like, "Come on, join us." So I join her and her friends, and this is the outing that we've been invited to, and she's the sponsor. And I'm still scared, and she's there with her friends, and she has pizza, and she's like, "Come on, grab a slice, join us." And I'm afraid, but it's like, here's the mind bend, is that they tell you to be polite to people, to be respectful, but at the same time, I'm aware that if someone sees it the wrong way, they're just going to accuse me, and something bad is going to happen. I'm going to get some kind of a punishment.
Yeah, Ryan went in and just took the whole pizza from the ladies and just said, "It's all mine." Yeah, you can see that's his personality, right? Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. It's just so screwed up.
And so I hesitate, and I say, "What the heck?" I grab the pizza, a slice, not the whole thing. Come on, y'all. I grab a slice of pizza, and I start eating it. And right when I'm about to finish, I still have like the last piece. That bad superior, that new superior who was there, comes out of the water, out of the beach, and he sees me. And he looks at me and he's like, "Oh, very good, amigo." But I know that bastard is what he is. Forgive me. But anyways, I know that he looked at me with so much hatred and jealousy. And I was scared at that moment, but at the same time, having gone through so many years of crap, I was kind of ready to see what happened. I mean, I've been through so much bullying. I've been through so much negativity and humiliations. I was just like, whatever. Let's see what happens. And so I'm with the sponsors of our outing, and I'm just smiling and trying to enjoy. But inside, I'm terrified.
Wow.
So we go to the room where we're staying in the hotel. We have it's not really a hotel. It's a resort. I guess it's a hotel. I don't know. So we have this big room, and we have all places where we sleep on the floor or wherever. But at the same time, because we are religious, we have it set up like a chapel, and we're about to have mass. And then this superior, he decides, okay, we're going to give lashes to the members.
Oh God.
To some of the members, and you could tell that he was pissed off. And so, I remember, like, let's say 3 members, they had to get like 10 lashes. And the reason was because they didn't set up the liturgy right. And then, okay, these other members, they're going to get lashes because of some stupid reason. And then he saved me for last. And last but not least, Brother Ryan, you need to get your lashes too. And at this time, I did something that I had never done, which was speak up.
Yeah.
And I said, for what? And his response was, because you were eating with the titas. You were eating pizza without permission. And I said, what's wrong with
Oh my God, the horrors.
you? Were eating pizza without permission. And I said, what's wrong with that? They were the sponsors of this outing. Why can't I do that? You do that all the time. Why can't I do that? And he goes, oh, yeah?
So messed up.
A brother said that he saw you the other day eating at McDonald's and drinking coffee with the money of the community. You're hexed. You need to do reparation.
That's right.
And in my mind,
Ryan should have freaking lashed him right there. Let's change over the power structure. Poor, oh my God. I love
you're
it.
hexed. You need to
Stand
do
up.
reparation. And in my mind, I'm thinking, that son of a gun, that brother, because that brother, there were 2 of them. They were eating hamburgers and French fries, stuffing their face with soda, and yet they were accusing me. And so I didn't budge. And he said, you need to come here and get your 40 lashes. And if you don't, you're going to be sent home, kind of like with not honorable, but like a dishonorable dispensation kind of thing, or dishonorable dismissal. And I was thinking about it. And my thoughts were, I've lived this life for 10, 11 years, and I don't want to just leave on a bad note. I've always said that I've wanted to leave gracefully. And here I get the opportunity to leave, but it will be kind of disgracefully. What do I do? And I remember he gave obedience to one of the brothers, and he told this brother, okay, I want you to give a countdown of 10 seconds. If he doesn't come here and get his beating, he gets dismissed from this community. So do a countdown. So that brother's doing the countdown, and I see in the faces of the members of that community shock. I see terror. I see fear. And I don't blame the members, because the members in this group were the most amazing people, are the most amazing people that I know, because they really were my brothers. It became like it became a family. And the leadership, screw the leadership. but the members, I saw their fear and terror, and so I went up there and to stop it all, and I took my beating. And what I remember is that afterwards, I felt so lost. I felt so out of place because it's like, this is where God wants me to be. I can't question, but in my heart, I feel that I have a calling outside. I have a life waiting for me outside, but I can't even, I have no idea what that life will be like. And I'm just so afraid.
And that right there is a big one with cults. It's huge. Now, Ryan, you know, and a lot of members who are in cults or end up in cults, they can't fathom what life would be like outside of the cult. It's scary, it's intimidating, it's threatening. And sometimes even, you know, they'll question things like, you know, like, oh, what are they going to think of me? Like, you know, I've ignored my family, or I've, you know, disconnected from my family or my friends, whoever, you know, years ago in many cases, right? And it's like the cult is the safety net because the cult has gone so far out of its way to keep you under the illusion that you need the cult. And that's not even necessarily including the spiritual component, like the religious component, like the godly component that's with all this. It's like they're they're vulnerable and easy prey to stay in the cult because it's something they know. They got a bed at night. They know that they've got food, even though it's not much food. They know that they have like a small community, you know, that there is security. Like humans inherently will seek out, you know, we need food, we need shelter, we need to be able to, you know, have something, right? And so the basic human condition, which again, you know, all the conditions here and everything related to this place plays its role. We are all in survival mode. And then if you are able to brainwash someone to the extent that Ryan was brainwashed, it's going to be much more difficult for him to say, no, I'm leaving and that's it. You know, it's just, it's sad. Like this is the type of stuff that individuals will run up against when they're in a high pressure cult.
And so I take my beating, and I should have opened my eyes, but that wasn't enough to open my eyes. So after our trip to the beach, we go back to our community, and just so that you understand, this priest is our superior, our spiritual director, and confessor, which that is in itself a violation because religious communities should not have the superior be the confessor or spiritual director. But hey, our community decided to take the cult avenue, and so I'm stuck on the mountain with this freak, with this jerk, and I'm expected to go to confession to him every day. That's the deal.
Every day.
You're supposed to go to confession every day. And I remember at the end of one of the confessions, I tell them, look, outside of confession, I tell them, look, I would really like to talk to you and have some spiritual direction because I really need it right now. Because I'm really having, and he like cuts me off. Oh, I don't want to hear it. That is not my problem. You need to be stronger than that. Mm-hmm. Don't waste my time with these stupid small problems. I'm like, all right.
Wow.
Okay. All right, fine.
All right. You want to go? Let's go.
So I'm going around the community because all that I can do is pray all day, pray, garden, I don't know, walk. And I decide, you know what? I'm going to write a letter. And I'm trying to be as genuine, as polite, as kind that I can be, and share with him that I'm struggling, that I don't want to be there, but I'm just following what they're saying is my obedience because I'm still stuck to my vows. And so I write this letter and I give it to him. The next day or a few days later, he decides in the homily sermon to speak about this letter. And he starts saying, the other day, I received this letter from these brothers.
I like his impression.
You know, that's very homosexual. And he was saying, of course, homophobic slurs in Tagalog. And this is in Mass, or it's right after Mass, but hey, it's still in the church. And he's saying these ridiculous things, calling me, he didn't say the name, but you know, I knew he was talking about me, calling me a homosexual and other words, because I had opened my heart and said that I needed help. Now, when he gave that answer of, you know, calling me gay and all these things, that's when I broke bad. That's when I said, I am not going to leave this place gracefully anymore. I wanted to. I tried. But now I have to do.
The gloves are off, baby.
I wanted to. I tried. But now I have to do things the hard way and try to find a way to escape. And so after that, I was sent to another community, and I was so broken. I was so angry. And when I got to this community, it was divided. It was divided between those who cared and those who were culty. And I saw that the culty members didn't really give a shit about me. All that mattered is you're bringing in the money, very good. You come here for prayers. You're around. That's good. But I would leave and I would take off my clerical. And my thinking is, well, why the hell am I wearing a clerical? Why am I dressing like a priest if my vows are finished? If they're keeping me without my consent, they're keeping me. But I'm just so brainwashed. I was so, I guess you can say, programmed to fear them. So my way of leaving was by violating the evangelical councils. However, I wasn't even any more attached to the evangelical councils. So part of me was like, I want to go date. I want to go to school. I want to live life. And so I started doing that.
Yeah.
And so I started going out and talking to people. And then when I came back, I remember telling the priest in charge, hey, look, I'm ready to leave. And he said, no, you can't leave. And I told him, look, I've been breaking the chastity, poverty, and obedience. And he tells me, oh, yeah, we can't keep someone like you here. Yeah, you got to go. And so that had me thinking for so many years, had me feeling that I had broken my vows to Christ. And that was, for me, the most painful thing. But just a few days ago, I spoke with a friend who was also in the community, and I brought this problem to him. And I said, my biggest brokenness is that the way I broke bad, I had to break bad so I can escape that place, so that I can be seen as evil, so that I can be kicked out. And I told him I had to violate my chastity, poverty, and obedience. And he told me something that I'm never going to forget. And he said, you didn't violate your chastity, poverty, and obedience. And I asked him, well, why do you say that? And he said, well, because, as you said, you wanted to leave years before.
Yeah.
You wanted to leave.
Yeah.
You should have been allowed to leave.
That's right.
Your vows had already expired, and they kept you even though they had no right to keep you. So no, you didn't violate your vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience.
That's freaking awesome, right? Like that's what Ryan needed to hear in this moment. Really, really awesome. Like I love it. I love it. That's great. He had a good friend by his side at that moment. I want to thank Pale Horse Rider for the very kind super chat. Always good to see you, my friend. I know you're in the background there. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And Knack, thank you so much for the super sticker as well. Always great to see you and appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Ooh as well says, thank you, Mark, for covering this very important topic and exposing another one of the realm's favorite traps, cults. May this information help as many people as possible. 100. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. Thanks to all three of you. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Yeah, cults are a big one.
You were already free, but they kept you
We're
prisoner.
going to get into more of these.
And so hearing that has given me some healing. And I know in many other cults, in all cults, there's similarities, but there's also differences. And I just wanted to share my story because people say I shouldn't talk about it, that it should be hush hush. But while victims of this kind of abuse stay hush hush, there's a history that's being transferred from generation to generation. And that will be that this community is very good and that they're all holy, but that's not the true story. And I feel that victims, it's okay to speak up. And who cares if the history of this community ends up looking bad? Because I've protected them for so long. And I've said, oh yes, Father Bing and all of them, they're all good people. They're holy, they're exorcists. Oh my God, so holy. But deep inside, I was lying. But I was taking care of them. I was making it look like I was protecting their face.
Yep. But deep inside, I was lying to myself. Like there has to be that tipping point when you're in a cult. There has to be a tipping point when you're here, right? To be able to be open-minded enough to look at this reality for what it is and unpack it and take the time over a number of years to really investigate it. And there are so many different distractions that come our way. And one of the biggest firewalls is what's going on in the astral and how it relates to what's going on here. It's way too obvious. And when you see everyone under the spell, not everyone, but a large portion of the population under the spell of this whole system, it has you questioning yourself, right? It has you questioning your sanity, has you questioning, am I right here? Am I wrong here? I mean, am I the one who's crazy or this, that? No, it is a literal insane asylum on Earth. And part of that insane asylum extends its reach into the astral at death. And it's all customized and based on our beliefs while we're here, our attachments while we're here. Everything is designed to take you away from realizing who and what you are. And that is that you are a creator being. We're all creator beings. And that we are much more powerful than this realm gives us credit. They want to knock us all down. They want to have us worshiping everything exterior to ourselves instead of looking within and taking the sovereign path. Again, I don't pretend to have all the answers, but the answers that are presented to me and to us are extremely shady. based on what's happening here. You can't tell me that this realm can function and exist the way it does, and that some god, some deity, some being is looking over all this, has its hand in the pot, and thinks it's normal. It's not normal. The very, I talk about this all the time, the human body, just the very design of the meat suit, the very design of the animal kingdom, right? All this stuff, right? Pain, suffering, all that stuff exists. Why? Why can't it be different? Why can't it be tweaked? Why can't the design be tweaked to the point where these types of things are not so crazy? Like, why does there have to be war and famine and poverty and pain and suffering and everything? Tainted water, tainted food, tainted skies, on and on and on, right? Where does it start? Where does it end? All we know is that it's happening. It has been happening for many, 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 many years. Long before the internet, thousands of years. Probably hundreds, millions, who knows how many years, right? But the one thing that is consistent in human history is that something has always had its boot over the head of this realm, regardless of where you live, whether it's rituals and the church, or if it doesn't matter, government, it doesn't matter what it is, right? The point is someone is laying behind the scenes and putting its boot down over your friends, your family, your house, your home, your farm, whatever, right? And then there are periods in history where, this realm is reset. Everything kind of gets wiped out, and then it starts all over again. So we can't, I think one of the biggest issues that humanity faces and why it can never get a leg up is because they reset this place. Humanity builds up over, who knows how many years. It reaches a certain pinnacle where, the matrix isn't comfortable anymore. And so, boom, has to take out the whole place and then reset itself. And what happens when you do something like that? You lose all the knowledge. You lose all the information about anything, right? And so if humanity can't even know its history, if it can't know how that there are parasites here, there are evil beings here, there are classes of parasites out there that want to continue to take over humanity and have us under its shoe, its boot. If you can't have that be universal knowledge across the entire realm, then there's no way humanity can ever get a leg up, because then you have the reincarnation cycle. You have the memory wipe. And it just goes on and on and on. And then it wipes itself out, rinse and repeat. Wipes itself out, rinse and repeat. Build up, rinse and, wipes itself out, rinse and repeat. It's the same thing over and over again. How long has this been happening? I don't know. I just know it's been happening. You can't pinpoint anything because we don't have the information. We just know that some serious catastrophes have happened here. The flood is a very real story. To my recollection, I think there's like 9 or 10 cultures spread out throughout the entire realm that verify in their own text that there was, a major flood, major disaster that plagued the entire realm, or at least a vast, vast majority of the realm. And what happens when you do that? Think about it. This is, seriously, we're in the digital age, right? So if shit were to hit the fan tomorrow, the majority of books, media, everything are on hard drives. That stuff's done. It's cooked. It's gone. Goodbye, right? And then you have physical books. Yeah, and those are going to be washed away, and that knowledge will be lost too. Unless you have someone, digging them in a specific spot that is going to protect those texts. And then you've got to hope that when those texts are found, that the individual who finds them is able to read what is in those books. They're able to actually translate what are on those books. And see, this is how this system is so well thought out that it makes it virtually impossible for humanity to get the leg up. It really does. So I find it so hard to wrap my head around anyone who can just forgive and explain everything that goes away. Anyone who's like an open-minded thinker, right? That they're just saying, what the hell is wrong? What is going on? Why is this place so freaking nuts? I mean, I think most, if not all of us here have probably been searching for who knows how many years, right? If not decades. And everything starts to gel together when you look at it through the lens logically, with a level head, and see what's going on, observe, take in the data through things like experiencer cases, experiencer data, and the almost over 20 different categories involved with that show the very fabric, a common theme of this realm. And in my opinion, it's undeniable. It's undeniable. It fits so well, it's not even funny. And so anyone who may be new to the channel or otherwise on the fence, just hang in there, right? Hang in there. Do your own research. Dive right in there. And it may take a few years, may take a year, 2 years, I don't know. But I lay out like a bullet points, and when we break down these experiences and all the different things that are happening here and in the astral, it paints a picture of nothing but distraction, illusion, control, and attachments. So anyways, that's it. Hang in there, my friends. Please give this topic the time that it really deserves, because we live in a time where we have all this access to all this information, and the path is there to see it and prove it. And then you can also go outside your body, work on going outside your body for real, and experience your intentions in real time. And that you do have creator being abilities. You can will things in and out of existence outside the body. Extremely easy. So it's just a matter of being able to achieve that out-of-body state and working to the point of getting there. So, anyways, that's about it. I'm not going to ramble any longer. Sorry.
But as members, as ex-members, we forget to protect our own face. And so that's why I wanted to give my narrative. And that's why I needed to come out and share this truth. Because, not my story isn't everyone's story. But I feel that if maybe it's given some kind of a clarity or understanding to someone else, or maybe someone feels guilty. Hey, I felt guilty for the longest time. And hearing those words from my friend, those true words that, hey, look, I did do my time. I did do my vows. But at that time that I broke bad, I wasn't even in violation. And yet they gave me this guilt trip. And they said, even though they knew that my vows were already, the time was up, they were saying, oh, yeah, we can't keep someone like you who, violates their vows. And that's a entry point for the devil and infestation. And, us, we can't have that here. So I'm going to end it there. But I just want you to understand what my mindset was, what my heart was feeling. And now, you know what I feel doing the podcast, doing YouTube. And I do have a job and I love it. I work at a assisted living, and get this, it's for priest, for good priest.
I'm sorry. So I meant to
podcast, doing YouTube. And I do have a job and I love it. I work at a assisted living.
See?
And get this, it's for priest, for good priest.
See, I mean, like, look, that's such a noble thing for Ryan to do. But as I think we're talking about earlier, you can actually, I was talking about it over on Odysee. Oftentimes someone who leaves a cult, they're going to fall into other boxes that the Matrix has like laid out, right? And so these boxes have different spiritual belief systems in them, and it's hoping to, have its box open and catch you and slap you down. So even though Ryan is doing an awesome thing, right, to help other individuals on their way out, right, in a nursing home setting, it's religious based, right, helping the priest like this. So this is what happens. Like, so you leave one situation in the Matrix and you go right back into a different situation in the Matrix, and that's it. Like, you're most likely going to stay in those parameters within your life script, within the Matrix, until your next lifetime. I would say a very, very high percentage of the time. Of course, there's going to be exceptions, but this is how the system thrives. It's got all these little boxes all over the place, and it's just waiting for you to, like, if you leave one, it's going to catch you in another as quickly as possible, because that belief system's in your head. Because so you can take one belief system, alter it just a little bit in this box, and boom, transfer right on over to it. And even though he's doing a lot of good, it's still more Matrix belief systems, which in turn are going to carry over and be customized to the individual at the time of death. And so the cycle will just repeat itself. It's just nuts. This is how well thought out it is.
I hope. But I feel that right now my mind and heart are united, and I feel this energy that I never had before. And I hope that ex-members of any cult, in any abusive, toxic relationship, if you've are out and you feel like your mind and heart aren't together, I hope that you find a way to unite your mind and heart, and that you too may have energy to do something amazing with your life. And like me, I was always guilty, depressed, feeling miserable. And now that I'm doing the podcast and YouTube, wow, I don't know, but I feel so much happier. I feel like I'm doing what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, good for you, Ryan.
And so I hope you find your way if you're an ex-member of a cult. And if you do feel guilty, I hope you're able to work through those feelings and you're able to get to a place where you no longer hate yourself. Because I hated myself for the longest time due to the fact that I was trained to. But now I'm unwiring that programming and I'm feeling a lot better now.
Yeah,
so
good
thank
for
you for
you,
listening.
Ryan.
This is Ryan Anthony Hernandez from the Truth at Heels podcast. Stay tuned because I have many more episodes coming up, and I hope you can stay for the ride. Love you all. Peace out.
All right. Well, he really, what a warrior, right? What a warrior. Good for Ryan for getting out of that situation. And I hope he avoids the cycle very soon. Okay, so what we're going to do is just take a break. I want to go into the video where Ryan talks about how he was forbidden to mourn and grieve. All right, it's a really telling set of circumstances that he runs into, and it does help aid in his red flag awareness about the cult. So we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes, and look forward to spending a little more time with you. And thanks again for joining tonight. And please consider hitting the like button. Greatly appreciate it, and maybe even sharing this video. Just as a reminder, this channel is for educational or perhaps entertainment purposes only, whichever the law would prefer. I want to welcome you back and also put out a notice that the next monthly members live stream is scheduled for Sunday, May 26th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to join membership, the stream level members and higher get access to the archived library, as well as early access videos on occasion, and an invitation into the members Discord server. And then we do the members live stream the last Sunday of every month, and it's usually a deep dive into a specific topic related to the Soul Trap. And yeah, so feel free to check that out if you're interested. That's available on Odysee and YouTube. And also I have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter where I usually send out notifications about what's happening on the channel. Usually stream notifications. They're just a way to get things out there. I don't really communicate too much on them, but if you're, sometimes the notification systems don't work on the various video platforms, so it's a good way for us to stay in touch and get the information out there if you'd like to join. And then yeah, there's also Rumble, Odysee, and YouTube, where I stream. Well, used to stream every weekend, but hasn't been that way recently. But fairly regularly, we'll still stream together. So usually meet up on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, at least once a week. And hopefully there'll be more coming. I also have Laughing at the Clown World Matrix channel, which still haven't done a stream or a video on that yet, but that's going to be exclusive to Odysee and Rumble. I may open a YouTube channel and just drop a few clips here and there, but there won't be streams. So if you want to just laugh and kick back and, not take things so seriously and just have a good time together, that is, those links are available in the description. So feel free to check those out. I also do one-on-one sessions with anyone who wants to kind of talk about this topic, or maybe has something to share they want to get off their mind, or ask any questions. So feel free to check out the links in the description tab for everything that I just talked about, and appreciate all of you who swing by and check out the streams and share them on social media. Sharing this channel really helps a lot too. It's basically all word of mouth. The algorithm isn't doing me any favors, so it's almost completely on word of mouth. So I appreciate anyone who shares my videos and my channel out there, and thanks so much. Okay, so let's dive into the next segment. And this is where Ryan's talking about how he was forbidden to mourn. Okay.
Religious community.
By the way, the audio isn't that great. I did try to clean it up a little bit, but it's not, it's going to be a little distorted. Much love to all of you out there too. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Neo. Knack.
I believe I've established pretty well, but at times was very culty, very negative, very dark. At other times, there was so much kindness, charity, compassion. But I would see like two sides. Like one side was very oppressive, very negative, and this other side was very, I could say, Christ-like and loving and understanding and charitable and just everything that I enjoyed about the religious life. And then,
all right, so the audio should improve a little bit. Well, hopefully.
the other side was like, you stick to the rules, you have to obey to the letter. And it was so confusing for me because they would be so strict, and yet I would see them, the superiors and even the founder, twisting things when it came to the church in general, twisting things, bending rules to fit them. And I was just so confused during my 11 years because I'm seeing a side of kindness and then I'm seeing a side of do what we say, which now I see is very culty. That's what it is. It's very culty. And there are cults and other groups who practice not practicing your birthday. So some might say that this is a very pathetic thing, but I left the community when I left my family when I was 17. I joined this community, and the idea is you're supposed to die to yourself. You're supposed to die to your dreams. You're supposed to die to your ambitions. If you wanted to go to school or if you wanted to do something great with your life, all that is done because now you're serving God. And the only one who is the voice of God for you is your superior or spiritual director, according to this mentality, which I think is extremely culty, because it gives you no freedom to be yourself. It gives you no freedom to explore your relationship with Christ, because in that time, my only way to have a relationship with Christ depended on what others would say for me. They would tell me how to think, how to react, and we were supposed to have emotions. We were supposed to be so dead and detached from our family. And going back to my birthday, it was taught to us that you have to be dead to yourself. You can't have enjoyment because that's like pride, or that is you're being allured by the things of the world. So I remember on one occasion I was sent to Nebraska, not because they wanted me to. I feel that they sent me to Nebraska because they needed me there for a mission. It was like I think a summer camp, but there were a lot of Spanish speakers, so they needed me to help. And I'm sure, looking back, I'm sure they would have rather had me stay in the formation house doing nothing, but because they needed me, they sent me to Nebraska. And when I was there, I encountered these sisters from the same community that I was in. But the sisters in Nebraska were just so kind, so charitable, so I could say Christ-like. So nice, and it was just different from the rest of the members who I had seen who were so culty and who were so negative. But I remember the sisters there, they heard that it was my birthday, and so they brought me a cake and they gave it to me, and for me that was like the nicest thing. But deep inside I felt so confused, and I felt like I was doing something against God, but I accepted the cake. There's nothing I can do. But inside, I was going through a little turmoil because, like I said, we were taught that we're supposed to be dead to ourselves, not have any pride, not give in to the devil's temptations of like self-glorification.
Not have any pride. Can you believe that? Don't have any pride in you, yourself. Don't have any self-esteem. Talk about evil. That's about as evil as it gets.
To the devil's temptations of like self-glorification. And so when the game...
Self-glorification, like perhaps, realizing that that we're all creator beings. And is that even self-glorification? No, it's just coming to the realization about who and what you are. And that, we've been hoodwinked and taken for a big ride of deception. That's not, you see how they can frame these things? Self-glorification. Ooh, don't have any self-esteem whatsoever. Don't think, you can handle this or that, or, or you can, question power or anything like that. Not allowed. Not allowed.
The cake, and they gave me a small birthday party. It was very nice, but I felt kind of guilty. Later that day, I received a phone call from my brother, from one of my brothers, and I thought it was a birthday call, and actually he called to let me know that my grandmother had died. So that just totally... At that moment, I felt even more guilty. I felt culpable to some extent because I had celebrated my birthday. And I didn't blame the sisters because I thought that they were just trying to be nice. But I really blamed myself, and I thought it was all my fault. And then after that mission in Nebraska, I believe it was on that same day or the next morning, I went back to Delaware, which is our formation house, our mission house, formation house. And I remember asking to talk to the superior at that time, whose name is, well, if you look back on the other podcast, you'll figure that out. But I asked to speak with him, and he was being such a prick, and he didn't want to talk to me. And so I left him a note saying, hey, I don't remember word for word, but it was pretty much like, hey, it's so nice to see how much energy you're able to give to people on the missions. You travel the world. That's beautiful, but it's so pathetic how in your own mission house with your own community, it seems like you don't really give much of a damn for your own sheep. And so he called me up. He was very pissed off. And
see, you're all sheep. You're all sheep.
He was very pissed off, and I remember going to his office, and he was about to, he was starting to speak up, and then I cut him off. And I told the superior, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Because he was mad at the letter, that little note I put outside of his door, and I get it. But at the same time, for those of you who don't know the story, I had been in isolation for about a year. And like I said, I was only in Nebraska because they needed someone to speak Spanish. If it wasn't for that, I'd still be stuck in isolation, or they call it prayer. I didn't sign up for that. And so I told him, look, all I want is permission to mourn with my family, to pray with my family, to cry with my family, to be at the funeral. And he told me that it was my fault that I never got to see my grandmother when she was sick.
Wow. I mean, that is just some next level evil shit. I mean, just evil. Flat out evil. Oh, just
But it was my fault that I never got to see my grandmother when she was sick, which is complete BS. Because when you're in a cult, you have no say. If you do anything without permission, You get shamed. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And he was just putting it in my face and saying all this stupid stuff. And it was just so painful, and I told him, look, I've obeyed every single thing that I've been told to do in this community. And I've been here at that time. I told him, I've been here for almost 10 years, and I've done every single thing that has been asked of me, even the most painful things. Even shunning my family, I've done that, because that's been my obedience. And now I'm only asking, for the first time in so many years, ever, I'm asking to be with my family, to pray with my family. That's it. If after that I have to go back to isolation, go ahead. But I just want to be with my family at least once. And he was making up stupid reasons, and I was like, look, other members, those who have money, they get to go home all the freaking time. They get to be with their families for not even a special occasion. They're able to go with their families, and I can't. All I want to do is to pray with them, to mourn with them, to be there for one thing. But all I'm asking is permission, because I will not do anything without the permission. Because now that I'm out of that place, of course I'll do whatever the hell I want. You know, but at that time, your mentality is you become so infantile, and you depend on them to make every single decision. Like if I have to go use the restroom, I'll ask permission.
You hear that? This is how deep this one goes. That if you need to use the restroom, that you need to ask permission. The fact that something like this can go on in this realm is just appalling. Absolutely appalling. And poor Ryan. I mean, my heart just falls on the floor for someone like him. Like, it's just... I just imagine. I think he was in for over 10 years. I think he was in for over, I want to say 10 years. A long time, right? From a young age. I think 16. And imagine, like, you got to take a leak. And you know, the clergy isn't around. The cult member clergy isn't around. And you really got to go. Oh my God, I got to go ask the brothers or whatever if I could take a leak. Just, that is just so screwed up. That's the level of control that Ryan was dealing with.
Obviously, those small things, everything had to be with permission. If not, it's a sin.
A sin.
And so this priest told me, well, I'll talk to your family. I'll talk to your family today or tomorrow, and then I'll call you up and I'll tell you what we've arranged so you can enjoy, or so you can, spend time with your family. And I felt that he had listened to me, and I was so thankful. Thank you for actually listening. So I remember going to pray, and then the next day, he calls me to his office, and he tells me, okay, amigo, I spoke with your family, and they were saying it's just so difficult financially for you to come to Los Angeles, for you to go to Los Angeles. It's better, they said, it's better you to stay there, stay here in Delaware, just pray. Just stay in the prayer chapel all day, and they prefer your prayers because financially you'd be a burden. And when my brother called me 2 days before my birthday, he told me that the family wanted me to be there. So I was confused, and I asked them, "Is that really what they said?" And they said, "Yes. Unfortunately, they'd rather you stay in Delaware because there's just too much of a financial burden." And the crazy thing was, I believed this priest entirely. And so I remember for the first time, when I was by myself, weeping in the fields in the cold, at night, and I see all the stars, and I just remember weeping and just feeling so abandoned, feeling so confused, and also so guilty because just a few days before I had celebrated my birthday. And so time passes, and I have this idea that my family saw me as a burden. And so I feel kind of negative now towards my family because I feel that they were the ones shunning me. They were the ones who saw me as a burden. And at this time, I'm really so confused, and part of me wants to leave. Part of me feels that I have to stay because they tell you, this is where God wants you. So you have no thought, you have no discernment. Or at least in my case. Maybe in someone else's case it was different, but in my case, in my story, that's how it was. I couldn't think, I couldn't express myself, but my mind was just so confused. And so a few months pass, and I have this emotion that my family sees me as a burden. And then I get a call from my other brother, and he was sharing to me that he was going to be in Delaware. And so at that time, when my brother came to Delaware, I was with another superior whom I find to be Christ-like, to be nice, charitable, loving, understanding. And I asked this priest, hey, my brother's going to come to Delaware. He's driving to the East Coast. Can I have him visit? And this priest said, absolutely. If he wants to take you out, if you want to go out, spend time with your family. Enjoy this time. And so my brother comes, and he takes me out to IHOP. And I do have a picture of being at the IHOP, and I'll share that at the end of the video. But anyways, we're at IHOP, and we're enjoying pancakes, and I'm having just a grand time eating and drinking coffee. And
he gets to see family, he gets to eat, he gets to actually have sustenance.
My brother asked me, why don't you go to grandma's funeral? And for me it was almost insulting that he asked me that, because in my mind the narrative that I was told was that my family didn't want me there because I was a burden. And so when he asked me that, I looked at him like just so confused and almost upset. And I responded, dude, you guys didn't want me there. It was too expensive. And I remember he's drinking his coffee, and he was just shaking his head like, no, that's not the reason why we were told. And so I asked him, well, why didn't I go? If you're saying that you could have paid, why didn't I go? And he told me, the priest, the superior at the time, he called the family, and he said, hey, I hope you understand, but Ryan, he says he's too busy on the missions, and he's very distracted. He has all of his attention on the missions, and he needs to focus on that, according to him, and we hope you understand.
What a stupid lie by the cult, right? This is just next level stupidity. It really blows my mind that they think that this is something that would stick, for many, many years. At some point, this conversation about Ryan not making the funeral is going to come up. So do they just say, oh, Ryan, we're going to hedge our bets, and, Ryan's disposable after, so many months, weeks, years, whatever, until he figures out that he was lied to by the clergy? I mean, come on. And it just, something like this is just crushing to someone, but it's also a catalyst to leaving the cult. Anyways, really amazing moment.
And the missions, and he needs to focus on that, according to him. And we hope you understand that he's really busy, and it looks like he might be unable to go to the funeral. And so the way my brother and family expressed it to me was that the story that they got from the superior was that I didn't want to go to the funeral because I was too involved in the mission, which is a lie. Because at the time of my grandmother's birthday, of my birthday, which was July 15, the same day my grandma died, and that was the last day of my mission in Nebraska. So by July 16th, I was doing nothing. I was back in Delaware doing absolutely nothing. So my brother asked me, so what kind of missions were you doing? And I told him nothing. And he asked me, so what'd you do, after your birthday? What'd you do in Delaware? Were you doing some kind of a special mission or activities? Absolutely nothing. I was back in isolation, feeling guilty. And so after that, I remember we were leaving the IHOP, and I had to have like a fake smile still, and we took pictures, but I was just so confused, so lost, because there for my grandmother's funeral, I couldn't be there because of a lie. I couldn't be there because of what this priest had told me and what he told my family. I know that some people might think, oh, I'm being emotional and whatever. I don't care. I don't care what you think. All I know is what I felt was being deceived. And that's not what religion is about. Religion is not about deceiving people. It's not about lying to family members. It's not about cheating someone of their goals or their ambitions and telling them that they have to follow a path. Religion is not about shaming someone for wanting to spend time with family or wanting to mourn. And so at that time I felt so broken because part of me for the longest time felt guilty because I had celebrated my birthday with the birthday cake. And then so years later,
I mean, just imagine you're feeling guilty because you celebrated with a birthday cake on your birthday. Now, me personally, I don't care about my birthday. It's just another day. Some people love it. It's a big thing, and yeah, it's fine. But, feeling guilty? Whew. I mean, just the way this cult has infiltrated itself into every aspect of Ryan's life, that everything is based on fear, guilt, shame, over and over and over again. It's just mind-blowing and disgusting.
Left the community, and just last year, my father died. And it's still hard. But this time when I experienced a death in my family, I felt so much better because I was there with the family. I was able to mourn with them, cry with them, pray with them, talk with the family, hug my mom, hug my brothers and my cousins, and even at my father's deathbed, I was able to hold his hand and I was able to embrace him. And even now, when I think of that memory of my last embrace with my dad, it's like as I'm seeing that memory, I can still feel his embrace. And for me, that's so healing because I'm almost 100% sure that if I was still under Father Bing, the founder of that community, I would be in so much trouble for even bringing up wanting to be with my family.
Absolutely, 100%. They already proved that to Ryan, and it's awesome that he got to be there in the final moments of his father years later. Just absolutely heartbreaking what they did to him. And he 100%. 100%. He would have not been able to see his father. And this is something I meant to bring up earlier when he was, with the first funeral, okay? The way these cults will work is they don't want you to be going and interacting with friends, family, anyone close to you. Because if you do, especially if it involves something like someone dying or death, right? People react to death and they can have paradigm shifts. The last thing a cult wants is for you to be flying out, having a transformative spiritual moment in your life, a paradigm shift, and then just dropping the cult. They will do anything in their power to make sure that something like that doesn't happen, because it's going to happen to a lot of people. Of course, it depends on your relationship, how close you were with the individual, but if you have some sort of close interaction with the individual who's dying or just passed, and you break away from the cult in that moment, you are going to be in a prime position to break free. And the cult doesn't want you to get away from that whatsoever. It is like at all costs. So weighing something like lying to Ryan like they did in the first instance with the funeral is beneficial to them, because in the long run, they're going to get however many X amount of years out of Ryan, or months, until, the cat is out of the bag, like with what happened with Ryan when he was at IHOP with his brother, right? And then in some cases, maybe that won't even factor in at all. And that, that knowing or that information won't come forward because there's so few interactions with Ryan or any cult member with anyone who's outside of the cult, such as family and friends. So they do not want any sort of paradigm shifts occurring with anybody when they're leaving the cult. And if it involves death or birth or some sort of amazing moment, like a formative moment, that is a possible catalyst to leave.
Because that's how they treated me for the longest time. So if they were to say to me, "Oh no, we give you permission," I don't know, BS, because the only people who really got to see their families from when I was there was those who have families who donate thousands of dollars, a lot of money. And if you're not a big timer, they treat you like a slave, they treat you like scum. And I know I'm not the only one who hasn't had permission to be there for a funeral. And I know that there are other members who have also been separated from their families, or they've been told you can't go to the wedding because you need to practice detachment. But then yet you see other brothers and sisters get permission. And I'm not angry at those other brothers and sisters who get permission. That's cool. If they're able to be with their families, that's great. But it's just not fair that in my journey during that time, I felt I was made to feel that it was my fault. And so I'm glad I left that place. I'm glad I left Father Bing. Excuse me. But at the same time, I'm just thankful also. I'm on this healing journey, and that I see that having a birthday cake, celebrating my birthday, isn't against God. It isn't against goodness. There's nothing evil about having a birthday cake or celebrating life. There's nothing evil or demonic about wanting to mourn with your family. I think the evil part is that they lied to me. I think the evil part is that they deceived my family and that they gave them the narrative that I didn't want to be with them because I preferred to be on the missions. I think that's evil. I think that's not what religion is about.
Yeah.
But sadly, that's what religion is becoming. When these knuckleheads use it for their own advantage, use it to suppress people, put people down, oppress people, and they get to travel the world. They get to see their families, while the rest of us, well, like in my case, my family is, I'm expected to ask money from my family every month. And so I'm going to end it there. But like I said, the healing journey from feeling guilty when my grandmother died to going through my own healing journey when I left the community, and the peace that I have being there with my dad, being there with my mom, being there with my family. I think it was just, it really brought a lot of consolation.
Yep.
And sorry, my app. It really brought me consolation to be with my family. And if you have a family member who's in a cult or even in an abusive environment, a toxic environment, never give up on them. Because when I was with my dad on his deathbed, he would always call me and he'd give me hugs, and it was just so great. And even before he was on his deathbed, he would tell me that he supported my journey for healing.
How awesome is that, right? Dad on his deathbed says, I support your journey of healing. That's exactly what Ryan needed to hear. That's freaking awesome, right? So great.
And I know if I were still in the cult, I would never have heard those words from my dad that he supported my healing journey. And even when I was leaving the community, when I left that cult, my mom and my dad were always so supportive, even though at times we didn't meet eye to eye. Even at times we didn't understand each other. They sure as hell didn't understand me because I was a complete mess, but they were there. So that's what I want to challenge all of you who might have family members or best friends who are stuck in a cult or in those abusive environments. Always show them your support. Be able to listen to them and just show that you love them. And with that, I want to thank you all. And I'm going to leave a few videos of my dad's funeral and of a picture from when I had just left the IHOP. And I don't know if you can tell in that picture, but I'm fake smiling so hard. I know because I know what I was feeling. But I'm going to leave that picture, and I hope that my healing journey, as I'm documenting it here for YouTube and on the podcast, I hope other people can learn from it and hopefully also learn from my mistakes and learn from my journey for healing. So thank you so much for being here. Much love. Peace.
Wow. He didn't leave. Unfortunately, he didn't leave the pictures up at the end here, but really just Ryan went through hell and came out on the other end okay. And so, yeah, I mean, I really appreciate anyone who comes out and shares their experiences. I mean, it's these types of cases are absolutely crucial to analyzing human psychology and the meat suit in general and how it reacts to certain things, how easily programmable we all are. That can't be said enough. We are so easily programmed, it's not even funny. And if it's not religion, it's education. If it's not education, it's government. if it's not, government, it's politics and on and on and on, and music and books and pop culture and celebrity and all this stuff, right? There are so many different boxes to get you trapped into and sucked into. Money, power, land, cars, material stuff. It goes on and on and on and on. This place has thought of every single possibility to suck you in through attachment and have belief and faith in it. But the one thing they don't want you to realize is that you hold all the cards at death. That you hold all the cards. The last thing they want is for a mass awakening of everyone to realize that, yeah, hey, this place is screwed up, but like, let me ask this question. What was going on before I came to Earth? Why is that question just seemingly overlooked, everybody? Right? Like, everyone's like, oh, like, where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? Those are the big questions. But like, what was going on before Earth, right? What was going on before I came into this overall matrix system? Where was I? What was I doing? It seems to be a cognitive block across the board that everything kind of like has to funnel into Earth or the astral. It's one of the other or both. But it's never looking at the next step and asking, hey, what was I doing before I came into this whole mess? It's the ultimate question, right? The ultimate question too being, well, if there's a God, if there's a grand creator of us all, who created that, right? And for some reason, that's another question that just seems to be thrown to the side, chalked up, hey, it's God. He works in mysterious ways. Hey, yo, I mean, that's the type of shit we're dealing with. Horrible answers, horrible logic, things that don't make sense, yet for some reason, cognitively, we will try in an attempt to excuse it away through our programming from what? The Matrix. And we can just go on and on and on about this. And all I like to say to everyone listening consistently is think bigger. Think outside the box. Think bigger. Say, hey, why don't I have a memory or recall about what I was doing? Not just in previous lifetimes, but like what was going on before I even came into the system? What was I doing? Where was I going? Like, what was I exploring? Why don't I have a memory for that? The nail in the coffin that exposes this place the most, and please don't forget this, is that we don't have a memory or recollection about what was going on before we came here. Now, we talk, this is always like the little, star, the source note at the bottom of the book saying, well, some people do have pre-birth memories and life between lives and past life memories. But what you start to realize across the board when looking at it, it's not that what they're sharing is not true. It's that it's always Earth related. It's always something familiar. Even if it's a little weird or off, it's always in the context of something that we can understand. I don't think what lays beyond here and what we're capable of is something that can be put into words. I don't. Otherwise, I'd say, hey, this is, what I think. I will just say to you, I don't know, right? Some people like to just make claims and spit shit out and just say, hey, this is the answer. This is what it is. Well, that's just not me. Like, I'm not going to make claims that I don't know. I try to back things up with information and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. And I don't have all the answers. And anyone out there who's pretending and playing to an audience saying that they have all the answers is full of shit. And I think anyone who takes this journey and seriously questions this realm, this existence, this lifetime, and dives into all different types of experiencer cases and tries to look beyond the physical, if they're being honest with themselves, they will say that they don't know. They will say that they don't have all the answers. There's certain things we can say with a pretty high degree of certainty, and then there's other things we can speculate on. And anyone who's kind of new or otherwise on the fence to this channel and this information, I tell you every single time, if I don't know or if it's an opinion, I state it. If I feel there is data and information to back it up with patterns across a bunch of different experiencer types, then I'll talk about it and say as such. But you're never going to hear on this channel things like, oh, well, this is the way it is. This, there's certain things that we do know. One of those things is that we are all creator beings. Does that make us like some big ego trip and this and that? No, it just, we're all on equal footing, but we all got lost. We all fell down the rabbit hole into this attachment, material, whack job realm or realms and got lost. That's it. That's it. And it's our job as individuals to fight against and confront the illusion, confront the attachment while we're here. Not when we're leaving at the time of natural death, but while we're here, my friends. Because if this reality exposes itself to you and you're open-minded enough, your essence will seep through and help provide guidance. And the information that I share on this channel should be a springboard of some kind for you. To do, I've said many times, nobody needs my channel. Nobody needs it. I provide kind of the outline and I say, hey, go out here and look for yourself. You're going to prove it to yourself. Try to go outside the body. You're going to prove to yourself that your intentions are king and that you're a lot more powerful than this realm tries to minimize you to. One of the things I've talked about and experienced growing up is in my science classes. I can't tell you, I would love to hear from the chat and anyone who's maybe listening to the replay in the comment section, please leave a comment. Did you grow up with your teachers telling you that your equivalency in existence is basically like a grain of sand on the beach? I cannot tell you how many teachers told me that growing up. Year after year. Year after year. And so where's that coming from, right? Where is that coming from? That's coming from the ether of the matrix, and it's being cast down to make me, you, everybody here feel less, right? That hey, you're the equivalent to a freaking grain of the sand on the beach. You're nothing. You're a fart in the wind. And see, when you minimize true essence beings, true creator beings down to that level, and then you have all these optics going on, all these different things going on to distract you and get you attached, it becomes easier to control you within this lifetime. And that's all the Matrix is relying on. It's relying on us to stay attached to everything, or even just a few things. And as long as it can keep you contained within those attachments and beliefs and faith, you're going to be easy prey at the time of death. And then guess what? You're going to be memory wiped, and the cycle is going to start itself all over again. And you're going to be seeking, or you're going to get lost, or you're going to have a horrible life script, or a great life script, or a rock and roll life script, or who knows what, right? You're going to get every possibility imaginable. But after the end of each lifetime, we would all be memory wiped and end up back at square one yet again. And for some reason, this realm, and this is fact, the data shows it, that everything that this realm presents says that we are here to learn. We are here to grow spiritually and evolve. Which brings up a very logical question. And that question is, if we're here to learn, if we're here to grow and evolve and blah, 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 then why are we being memory wiped? Why do we have to come down to the physical? Why do we have to come into a material realm with pain and suffering and absolute fucking insanity for these supposed, growth lessons? Meanwhile, when you leave the body and you have these profound realizations and you explore and you realize what you're able to do, you come back here and you're like, what? You're saying to yourself, yeah, I'm here to learn and grow and all this other stuff, but yet when I'm outside my body, I am like way more perceptive than words can describe. And all NDEers will say the same thing. You cannot compare it. There's no level of comparison. People who have breakthrough trips or trip and go outside the body, right? They will say the same thing. I have my thoughts on substances and all that stuff, and I don't necessarily think it's for everybody, and would never, ever tell anyone out there listening that it's something you should explore. It's not for everybody. But at the same time, you don't need it. I think really, truly exploring and getting outside the body, doing it sober is the way to go. You are much more lucid and in control. The last thing I want when I'm leaving here is to be, pumped with morphine or something like that, like to the point of where I'm drooling on the side of my mouth. No. If I have to stomach and deal with some pain or something on the way out, so be it. But I want a clear, lucid exit at the time of natural death. And no matter how many truths that can come out of something like a breakthrough trip, and again, I've had them. I'm not discounting them. They are great experiences. But at the same time, I don't care what anyone says out there. The control factor is not the same. It's just not. There's nothing that you cannot compare having a breakthrough trip and then also going outside the body naturally. Now, the problem is it's just a lot more difficult, right? And I'm one of them. I'm no expert in going outside the body. I've done it quite a few times, but it takes a lot, right? I'm just not one of these people who, is fortunate enough where they're just able to, have OBEs all the time. I can have great heightened meditative experiences on the regular, and they're really helpful and awesome, but there's a difference. That's why I like to, when I'm talking about comas, those who have coma NDEs, when you're listening to them, you're hearing about drugs being involved. and things get wacky, things get weird, things get loopy and literally loopy. Like where they're experiencing the same thing over and over and over again. They're trying to get out of the situation. And that's not always the case, but it happens. And so the problem is it shows, and based on personal experience, when you're dealing with these types of substances to the point of you being able to have a breakthrough trip, the control factor just isn't the same. It's just not. You can't compare the two. So that also, presents a question for when you're going through natural death. Now, am I saying everyone should, be in pain and all that stuff when you're on your way out? Hell no. No. You should just be to the point where you want to make sure you're lucid. You want to make sure that the nurses and doctors know that you want to be comfortable, but you don't want to be like to the point of, where you're drooling and falling asleep constantly and shit like that. You want to have a level of lucidity on your final days, right? And the beauty of today and the beauty of nursing, like hospice nurses, they're awesome individuals out there, and anyone who does that line of work, I commend you, and they're just amazing. I've run into and talked to so many hospice nurses and doctors over the years and picked their brains, and some of them I've dealt with my own family, and they're just amazing individuals. Just all heart. And the beauty of when you're on your way out, nurses and doctors know, but especially the hospice nurses, they know. The human body shows certain signs, telltale signs, where they are able to start predicting when you're going to pass. They know. So you need to have a heart-to-heart with any sort of, like, your family and the hospice employees that may be taking care of you. These are things to think about, so that when you're on your way out, that they know that you don't want to be morphine to the hills, right? Because let's just face it, hospice, what they do is they OD the patients. That's the dirty secret in hospice, at least in America. All right, so they keep giving it, and they know when you're, having it rough and that you want to, it's time to go. And they literally OD you. Okay? So the important thing that these hospice nurses need to know is that they need to be completely made aware of what your wishes are. And you need to actually have family or friends or somebody that is going to make sure that those wishes are fulfilled. And one of those wishes of fulfillment should be that you don't want to be drooling on the side of your bed, incapable of your faculties, right? And so just things to think about, right? And remember, like, this is the last thing before I close things up. Things like dementia and Alzheimer's, right? I've gotten that question before. There is a thing called, I'm having a mind blank here. I'm sorry. Terminal lucidity. Wow. Total mind blank right there. Anyways, terminal lucidity is a thing where when you can have Alzheimer's, dementia, you can be non-verbal for months, if not years, and then all of a sudden, in your final hours, or oftentimes like within 24 hours or less, it could potentially extend out like a couple, 2 to 3 days. Maybe it could be a little bit longer, but you have a moment of clarity where you wake up Now, mind you, we're talking about someone who can have, Alzheimer's, dementia. They've been unable to communicate for months, years, who knows how long, right? Keep that in mind. Really important. All right. And then in their final hours or days, all of a sudden, they wake up and talk. They're able to eat. They're able to communicate, like as if nothing that's been happening over the last few months or years ever existed. And this is part of like the Matrix, like closure program for yourself, your friends, your family. But this is a moment where it shows that the brain is bullshit. If someone is having this experience and they've been unable to communicate in this and that, it's not that what they're going through is bullshit, because it is. It's like a frequency all of a sudden, like, so you have the normal human being. I'm going to try to explain this properly. I'll probably screw it up. But anyways, you have the human brain, or I hate to say the human brain, the human body, let's say, right? And you get Alzheimer's, dementia, and, you're losing it. And then you get to a point where you're literally unable to make sense, or like, maybe you might have some sporadic moments here and there, sporadic days here and there, weeks sometimes, depending on where you are in the process with your progression and all this. And then all of a sudden, like, it's like the plug is pulled. I saw it with my grandmother. I saw it with other family members. And it's like the plug is pulled and there's just, the communication's not there anymore. But then on their deathbed, I've experienced this twice with family members. All of a sudden, it's like the frequency just flicks on and then boom, they're back to their old self. I saw it with one of my dogs 2 years ago. We had to put him down, and he had an insane revival. Like, he was like a puppy again. And I knew it. I saw it and I said, oh, here it is. This is terminal lucidity with the pup. And of course, something like that does is it provides false hope for those that love and care about the individual who's going through that, right? It's like, oh my God, they're back. It's a miracle. They turn things around. That's just not the way it is. It's the Matrix's way. It's the Essence's way, in combination maybe with the Matrix in the meat suit of being able to say goodbye. And what it shows, in my opinion, strong opinion, is that nothing is as it seems. I think those who have dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that, yeah, they may not be able to communicate necessarily well in the physical, or at all if it's in later stages, but I think they're probably floating around the lower earth astral, exploring and doing God knows what, right? They're not, because why all of a sudden is that, switch flicked on? So don't live in fear. Don't live in shame or guilt or worry or any of that stuff. Be strong in your resolving about who and what you are. Don't let assholes online in the comments section or on Reddit or on Rumble or Odysee or YouTube or wherever try and take you down and make you feel bad. You are much more powerful than this realm, anything gives you credit for. And if there's anything that this realm wants more than anything, repeating myself, but it wants you to feel helpless, hopeless, like you don't have any say in any of this. And that is the biggest load of bullshit out there. There is a whole sophisticated operation going on out there right now, and that has been going on, and it's been ramped up to make anyone who's looking into this topic feel like they're a lost cause. They have no choice, no say in the matter. They're fucked. Everything's screwed. You're done. And it's incredible to see how things have evolved over the last few years with this topic. It's incredible. All right. And if it says it all. It says it all. There is a sophisticated operation going on out there to make many, many individuals looking into all this feel worthless, like they have nothing, like there's no hope, like the Matrix overlords are going to come and take them over and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what they're not going to tell you is that if you just go outside the body and you experience and interact with something weird or you're going and exploring, like you can will things in and out of existence. You can prove these things. You can prove it to yourself, hands down. Now, is it going to be easy? Probably not. It's going to take some time. You're going to need some practice and all that stuff. And I think meditation is probably a good start for everybody to do this. And since we're talking about meditation, I was meant to do a individual video on this, but meditation is great. It's one of the best things I've ever done, but it's also, a lot almost across the board. This is another thing, like where meditation is propped up as if it's always good all the time. And it's just not the case. You're going to have rough meditation sessions. You're going to have sometimes intrusive thoughts or weird shit happen or uncomfortable things happen. And then you're going to have like bliss moments. You're going to have like just a profound moments of peace moments. Like you're going to have all of it. But you're also going to be able to realize that like over time, if you do something like that, you're going to be able to regulate it as well. So there's like so many different things, but for some reason, meditation teachers don't want to share that things can get dark. And I don't understand that. I swear, I don't think there's like anybody out there that talks about that. It's the weirdest shit. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is allow yourself to be empowered. Don't let these fuckers out there who are trying to control your mind and make you feel like you don't have any power, or that you're worthless, or that there's no hope, or that the archons are going to get you whether you like it or not. Don't let them win. Okay? That's all I'm trying to say. All right? Let the losers be losers. Let the individuals who are just want to live in the pits of despair, let them live in the pits of despair. But this community, what we talk about here and all that stuff, I don't mind anyone disagreeing and saying, hey, you're full of shit. And, here's why I think that. But, there's a difference between being a jerk and putting fear into people and being completely negative, right? To the point of making everyone feel worthless and down and like there's a difference. There's a big difference. And, I let some shit go on this channel early on, and I deeply, deeply regret it. Deeply regret it. And I want to apologize to anyone out there who has been around for a while and saw it, or perhaps maybe some of you have seen it and watched the replays, it's there. And I don't want anyone to feel discouraged. And I just want everyone to also know that, again, everyone's free to express their opinion. But if you're being combative, you're being nasty, if you're attacking others, if you're just, if your only narrative is that, hey, we're all fucked and this and that, well, go away. You're not welcome here, right? You're just not. It's that simple. All right. So, have some respect, have some empathy and compassion for others that also may be going through a rough time with this information. It's not easy. All right. It's not easy to go through this. And I really, really regret letting shit get out of hand in the past. I really do, and I sincerely apologize for that. Okay, the way I looked at it for a while, until I realized it was, you know, a literal op being run on me. The way I looked at it was that, you know, everyone needs to learn and grow and allow everybody their time to kind of settle into this stuff. And for some, it may take longer than others. And so that was always in the back of my head. It was always in the back of my head saying, you know, I got to respect everyone's process, right? But then you realize that that's not what was going on. That was not at all what was going on. It was a sophisticated kind of operation to just be doom and gloom all the time. And to kind of like just make people feel powerless or worthless in the live streams or in the comment sections. And I'm just not going to put up with that shit anymore. It's over. Okay. You can disagree. You can, you know, talk about your own religions or whatever. But if you're going to be just an asshole and a fearmonger and attack people and all that stuff, you're just gone. There's no warning. You're just gone. Okay. So just letting it be known, I'm just not going to put up with it anymore. I don't want to see it. Nobody wants to see it. You know, there's a difference between being, you know, cordial and being open-minded and responding and, you know, working through your own shit. And there's a difference between attacking and being an asshole to others. Okay. There's a huge difference. So, that's it. Some may like that, some may not, but I don't care. I don't care. It's just, I'm done. I'm completely done with, the fucking freak show out there or the operations that are being targeted here. Just, it's done. All right. So just let it be known. Anyways, I'm sorry. I just had to end it like that just to put it out there. So, I want everybody to feel empowered. All right. And if, you know, maybe you need to step away and do your own thing. And remember, this channel is a stepping board. Everyone can do their own research, make up their own conclusions. You know, I don't have the answers to everything. I say that all the time. And just do you, right? Do you. Maybe you'll watch the channel. Maybe you'll leave and come back later or whatever, right? Do your thing. But whatever you do, just get to that strong point of inner knowing that you are a powerful creator being and that your intentions are massive. Okay? Your intention is everything. All right? Don't let anybody steal that away from you because it's 100% fact. Not 99, not 98, not 50-50, 100%. And that's the thing that should give all of us solace. And some of us, you know, have kind of experienced it and gone through it and can prove it. And then others, you know, just need to take your time to get there. That's all. It's cool. That's it. So just look out for yourself, right? Don't let your brain get rotted by the bullshit that's out there with this topic. Like, there's things going on, like even just like twisting so many things I've said and like making it sound just whacked, right? Or just what other people talk about, like Wayne and Dan are being, everyone's being, you know, I find like I don't know, there's no point in even going any further about this, but just take care of preserve your critical thinking, your open-mindedness, your essence, right? Just preserve that. Don't shield yourself from let me say this again. Shield yourself from this toxic bullshit that goes on out there. That's all I'm saying, all right? I'm going to leave it at that. I've kind of been rambling a long time, and please Just look out for yourself. The whole point of everything we talk about is sovereignty, non-interference, liberation, creating your own realm at the time of natural death, right? That's it. It's that simple. And anyone who has a problem with that or wants to disempower anyone from that, go pound sand. I don't care. But you're not going to be attacking anyone else here anymore. It's over. Okay? So take care of yourselves, my friend, all right? You know, I really want to thank each and every one of you. It's always nice seeing you. I know I'm not able to interact as much lately and stuff like that, but you know, I do see your comments and appreciate you all giving feedback and sharing your own experiences and you know, anything, right? So feel free to leave a comment if you're watching the replay, and thanks for everyone checking in tonight on the live stream. And I will do a stream sometime in the next week or two where we just do like a chill stream where we just come in and hang out with one another, and I'll just interact with the chat and we'll bounce some things off one another, right? Because it's been a while since we've done that. So look forward to hanging out with you again in the near future, and thank you. Okay? Please take care of yourselves and never ever let any of these assholes take you down.